Now to the other big story we are following this morning, a decision by Brazil's Supreme Court that New Jersey father David Goldman must be reunited with his son. We're going to talk exclusively to David's lawyer in a moment. But first, NBC's Jeff Rossen is in Rio de Janeiro with the very latest. Jeff, good morning.
Hey, Meredith, good to see you, and good morning from Brazil. You know, no question about it, this is a pretty big win, a major victory for David Goldman, a reunion with his son ordered by Brazil's highest court. At this hour this morning here in Rio, David Goldman remains in his hotel room waiting for that reunion to happen, and that part is tricky, too. Still unclear the details of all of this, where the reunion will happen, when it will happen, how it will happen. All of that is still fluid, but this ruling is for an immediate reunion to happen, and so David and Sean could be together today and back on a plane for the U.S.
The decision that the Chief Justice of the Brazilian
David Goldman waited more than 5 years for this moment. Late Tuesday night, Brazil's Supreme Court ruled in his favor, ordering Sean's speedy return to his dad. David and Sean Goldman, father and son, the court ruled, belong together in the U.S. NBC News had exclusive access to David just moments after the ruling.
I hope this is it. And if it is, when will we be leaving? When? When will Sean and I be able to go home together as father and son?
Goldman is skeptical of any victory, even a major one like this. After more than a dozen trips to Brazil and countless setbacks, he told us he won't really believe it until Sean is safe on American soil.
I've waited way too long, more than any parent should ever have to wait, to spend the precious God-given moments that we have with our children.
Moments they shared when Sean was just a toddler. He's 9 now and has spent more than half his life in Brazil, living with his mother's family. Living in New Jersey will be an adjustment.
Beyond all hope and pray with all my being that he's okay. I know once we're together and we're back home, we will heal and he will be okay.
David's new Supreme Court win comes as political pressure was mounting for Brazil to release Sean. Discussions reached to Capitol Hill, even the White House. Do you think that factored into this?
Well, I think it was all of it helped create a critical mass to get the focus on this abduction case that it deserves.
David's wife took Sean to Brazil in 2004 and never came back. She divorced David, remarried, got pregnant, and died during childbirth. Her new Brazilian husband, a well-connected lawyer, fought to keep Sean in Rio and had been successful.
And it is beyond tragic that we weren't in each other's lives for this amount of time. And I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
The lawyer for the Brazilian family told me today if the decision went this way, in David's favor, they would appeal. Do you really think this is the end?
They may appeal, but I think the fact that the Chief Justice of the Brazilian Supreme Court has issued such a strongly worded opinion, appeal what?
It took more than 5 years and Brazil's highest court to do it. But this morning, the hope of a happy reunion just 2 days before Christmas.
But I love you. I love you. I always did, Sean, and I would never give up. And I will never give up.
Even if the Brazilian family appeals this decision today, trying to keep Sean in Brazil, legal experts here say that wouldn't necessarily stop this reunion. The appeals could go on, and it could be fought out in the Brazilian courts while Sean is up with his father, David, in the United States, at home in New Jersey. Once again, this situation is still developing. How this will all go down with the reunion, Meredith will let you know as it happens.
All right, Jeff Rossen, thank you very much. Patricia Appy, David Goldman's lawyer, is with us exclusively. Patricia, good morning.
Good morning.
5 years of fighting to get his son back. It now appears that David will regain custody of Sean and bring him home. You spoke with David last night. What did he say to you?
And I actually spoke with him this morning as well. He is cautious, as he always is.
Yes.
He's concerned about the conditions of the transition from Sean going to him, how that's going to be done in a way that keeps Sean safe and comfortable. And his concern, as always, has been Sean's best interest.
Well, you know, he's been down this road before, maybe not this far down it, but he's certainly been down the road before, only to have the rug pulled out from beneath him. What makes this ruling different in your mind?
This isn't like any other ruling we've received. The President of the Supreme Court has really ended the treaty litigation and made it very clear on both the merits and on the procedure that the wrangling with respect to whether Sean should return is over. The child needs to be placed on a plane and needs to be placed on a plane immediately.
But the entire Supreme Court needs to rule on this as well. Does that potentially suggest a roadblock further down?
I wouldn't agree that the entire Supreme Court needs to rule on it. Procedurally, and without going into all of the morass, in fact, the President of the Supreme Court is capable of rendering the decision without having the entire Supreme Court sit, and he's done that.
So what happens next, Patricia?
What happens next is that we have requested that the family voluntarily comply with the Supreme Court order and work with us, collaborate with us in the return of Sean. If that doesn't happen, then we will hope that the Brazilian authorities will work sensitively and collaborate with us in having Sean transported back to the United States.
Are you concerned that the family will not work with you at this point? They've said in the past before the ruling that they will do whatever they can to keep Sean in Brazil.
And we are concerned as a result.
So what are your contingency plans?
Well, the contingency plans are that obviously we first want to work on that collaboration. If it's rejected, then we will ask for all the assistance that we can be provided by the Brazilian authorities and of course our very fine diplomatic staff in Brazil to assist in having Sean transferred to David for transportation back to the United States.
Do you believe that Sean and David will be on a plane today on the way back to the United States?
I believe that the order requires that to happen. I am hopeful that it will actually happen.
And one final question. I know that David has been concerned through all of this about his son's emotional well-being and his mental state. He has spent 5 years living with this family. This is the family that he knows so well. What has David done to help with this transition?
Well,
how was he prepared to help his son through this?
We've continued to consult with a mental health professional to provide David advice about the best ways to ensure Sean's comfort and well-being. At the same time, we've said all along that we would work with the Brazilian family to maintain the relationship to that family during the transition and after, and hope that they will act in Sean's best interest in doing so.
All right, Patricia Happy, thank you so much.
Thanks, Meredith.
I'd like to see you smile for a change.
I like to smile.